Hello.
Hi, you
Un-
caught me by surprise. I'm
unexpectedly,
expecting that.
unexpectedly, we started right on time. That's something new, and the stream is a bit unexpected because originally we planned to stream as it usually goes with us with our streams once in 2 weeks, bi-weekly, should I call it? But we didn't have any guests scheduled for today to record the podcast because all of our guests asked to postpone recording until later in February or even March, April, or something like that. Well, later this year. Um,
I know a cool word we can use. We stream fortnightly. Yeah.
Fortnightly. Okay. Perfect. But yeah, so we have an unexpected stream today, and there was a reason that prompted us to do this stream. Well, besides the fact that we have a backlog of stories to share with you, and a bunch of news we wanted to discuss. There was this. Um, how do I say? I stir the pot a bit with some photos, and all of that was because of this object and objects similar to it. Uh, but that's our main theme for today, and we will see how it goes. Before that, we have a couple of other things to discuss: some news, some iBook bindings news, and some podcast previews, teasers, or something like that, and some more stuff. But then we will continue with our main topic, and I hope you will like all of that. So, Pavel,
And as usual, we really like it when you tell us where you watch us from. So say hi and say where you are right now. It's evening, so I assume we can expect comments from Europe and early birds from America,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So please tell us about that.
yeah, and yeah, as usual, if you have any comments, any questions, you can post them. Either on Facebook or YouTube. We try to check both. You can also check our Discord channel and post some questions there, but I guess we will see them a bit later because it's really hard to check all the sources. But anyway, if you have any questions to us or to our future guests or to our previous guests, post them and we will try to answer them either right away or maybe next time. So news, a bit of short bit of news from iBook Binding, and I guess I'm ready to share screen with you. So, uh, firstly, we are starting to step by step move away from Etsy. And Etsy shop continues to work, and I guess it will continue to work. But I finally works out all the kinks of the standalone shop, and it started working. Even some orders are already placed there. So that's another option for you to go to. It's store.ibookbinding.com. You can find links on find the link on the main website. It's pretty similar to what you find on Etsy, all the same stuff. Okay, and we lost Pavel, and everything broke.
And I'm back,
You are
hopefully.
back, but everything broke. Okay, so back to the shop. Everything is the same, all the same tools, all the same prices, all the same conditions, free shipping worldwide. And the other piece of news related to the shop and related to shipping is that the threshold for free track shipping is much lower now. Previously, it was 40 euros for France, 60 euros for the rest of the European Union, and 100 euros for an order or per order for the rest of the world. So, for example, United States, if you order from the US to get track shipping for free, you had to order at least for $100, for 100 euros. Well, it's not much of a difference. So now all orders over 20 euros, not depending on this final destination, are sent with tracking, and I guess that's a win. So if you order anything, even some of the items sold for less than 20 euros, for example, our set of 4 corner cutting jigs is 16.95 euros, and it's also sent with tracking starting now. Really, for some time we've been doing that, sending all these orders with tracking. So yeah, I hope it will make our shop better and sort of raise the transparency of sales and understanding of people for the customers, how the things are going and how much time it takes for a package to come from Europe to the US, for example, or some other countries.
And can you tell us just how it happened, why it wasn't available before, what changed?
Well, I found some other options for sending smaller packages, and well, that's it. Oh, and by the way, also for some of the orders sent within the European Union, for larger packages, they are now shipped with 2-day delivery. So even better. Not for all the larger items or orders, but some of them.
Terry Power is watching us from Wisconsin, which is the first, I think.
Well, at least the first one who told us about it. So yeah, I'll try to check the comments. Oh, that's on YouTube. Yeah, hi Terry. So what's next? By the way, did you prepare anything for today? Are you going to show us some stuff or?
Yeah, I'm gonna discuss a couple of news with context. I'll be sharing screen and some images and talking a lot and really fast.
So we also wanted to discuss one of the podcast episodes that we recorded while I was in Moscow during the holidays. It's pretty unusual to see both Pavel and yours truly in the same frame. So that you will see it at least. We have three podcast episodes. 3 guests recorded altogether in Russia. One recording was earlier last year. No, not earlier last year. When did it happen? In August. Yeah, earlier last year.
So last summer with Valery Lenev.
Valery Lenev, yeah, we recorded with the chief of the library of the, how do we call it, art center garage?
Art museum, modern art museum. And
so they have a collection of artist books that they started to build several years ago, and they have an amazing archive. And Valery showed us a lot of interesting stuff, and that's, by the way, one of the next episodes that will be published at iBookBinding's YouTube channel, because it's right now it's in the editing. There are some issues with it because it's not so straightforward to edit. There is a Russian version of the episode, and there is an English version of the episode, and they are a bit different. So it was a challenging task for our editor. So, but yeah, it's the next one, and it will be published in Russian and separately in English. So unlike our French and Spanish podcasts, the Russian version wouldn't have English subtitles because, well, it's a bit too much work for us now. But we have recorded a separate version in English, so everybody will be able to watch it. And we have recorded another episode of with another guest, with the calligrapher back in Moscow, and that will be the next Russian episode that we publish. And something that we wanted to share today is a talk with a printer, and the project's name is Demon Press. So it's Демоны печати in Russian, Demon Press, and what's interesting that the name of the person behind this project is Sergei Besov, and the Bes is sort of a demon in Russian. A small demon, I guess.
Some of our listeners who studied Russian literature may know Sologub's famous piece, Small Demons, and in Russian it's Маленький бес. Okay. Yeah, and bes is and the word itself, by the way, bes, may be familiar to many listeners as a name of an Egyptian god, Bes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes, so the word it's used in Christian context comes from like the third and the fourth century, when Christians were actively recasting all the pagan deities as demons and Satan's workers. So this is how that came to be.
So here are Pavel and then Sergei near the workshop, near the Demon Print workshop, and we talked quite a lot. Outside and inside, because outside that there is this wall of posters, prints. How do you call them? Posters?
Yeah, posters. Okay. And this particular project has its own Instagram. I'm gonna post a link now. It's called Partisan Press, and it's suddenly it's been active for a while, but last year it got viral, and you see these posters all over Moscow, and now in Versailles and in my flat too.
Yeah, and we've spent quite a lot of time, and it was right before our flight back to France. So my wife was a bit nervous that we were late, and we were late for our PCR tests. that wasn't funny, but so yeah, here's their studio, at least a part of their studio. They have a second location where we recorded our talk, and lots of these posters, lots of different stuff, and presses and everything, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to talk to Sergei.
And this is the font. This is the font that they print the posters with. They don't know the origin of it or the date of it. So it's something like 1950s. A wooden press, originally used for posters, but probably with not this sort of content. But,
yeah, and while we stayed outside near this wall with posters, we also discussed some experimentations that happened around this type, and there are some changes for some of the letters happening from time to time, and how it all went through. And well, we talked in Russian, but this episode will be accompanied by English subtitles, so I hope everyone will be able to watch it and to learn a bit more current Russian printing scene. So some more stuff, and
it's probably also worth noting that we talked to the person who inspired Sergei Besov to start printing. A printer, Russian printer currently in US. I forget the name.
Ivan Glukov.
Yeah. So you can see that episode online too.
Yeah, you can find it on our YouTube channel, and maybe Pavel will even post a link there. But no.
Or not,
Why?
I'll try.
Why is it so small? It shouldn't be so small. Anyway, that's the end of the photos, and Pavel is making even more photos. So that's something that we are going to share with you a bit later this year, and it was a lot of fun to talk to Sergey, and I hope we will return to his shop. And I probably need to switch off the large preview screen because Pavel wanted to show something. Of course, we didn't leave the printing house without printing workshop without some gifts, and I'm not sure that many of our viewers will be able to read what's there,
but you can certainly appreciate the quality and the character of the font.
I also have some.
Yeah.
And yeah, here it is. So my reads: if you are tired, just take a rest right away.
And mine reads, I don't know. How would you translate that?
I don't know either. Yeah.
Whoa.
And this one is one of my favorites. So it's at the last moment and through the asshole. And it's lucky that we do not earn any money from YouTube because I don't know if these words demonetize any demonetize any videos. So here we are, and that's for some announcements, and we're ready to move on to our next topic. So should we talk right away about the main topic, or should we talk about the exhibition?
No. I think we'll talk about the main topic and then the news and the exhibition. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Okay, so that's how it works today. So let me switch back. That's the wrong one. That's the right one. There are too many screens. I have to work this. So here is some stuff that you may have seen on the preview of our live stream. No, you cannot see it because I did share the screen. Here is some stuff you may have seen on the preview of our live stream, and that's some work by a Canadian artist, Guy Laramé, and he is at least in some of his creations, he carves out large sections of books or even book sets. As far as I understand, he carves out some of the volume he carves out with sand blower, and I guess the fine details are done by hand after that, and these are beautiful objects, and I'm sure you've seen at least some of them before, and I forgot the word. The process of losing the soil. How is it called? I forgot it even in Russian. Deterioration of soil. There is some special
erosion.
Yeah. So there are some thoughts about erosion and civilization, and I guess entropy in this art. And but anyway, he uses real books for these art projects, and that's I've seen some people reacting not so nicely to some of these works, and here's the object that was on the thumbnail of our live stream, and I can probably understand some of the sentiment, but still, for quite a long time, my understanding or my attitude toward this topic was that if a person doesn't use a book that is absolutely unique or has some historical value, I guess, even not emotional probably, but historical or art value in the first place, then go forward with it. And if you can create something even more beautiful with these books, well, that's perfect. That's what art is for, and it raises some questions and starts a discussion. And that's, by the way, the exact reason I posted the photos I'll show you in a bit, and that's launched this discussion on Facebook. And it was a bit heated, a bit too heated in my opinion. But sculptures with books were created for quite a long time. And what do you think, Pavel? For how long they've been made?
I know only of post-war examples, but probably it started before that. There are some examples of carved book edges from the 19th century. Again, repurposed because so many collectors kept their books not vertically but stacked and never read them, basically. There were masters who could carve your edges to give them the shape related to what's inside the book, and often they cut through the text, and there were quite a lot of comments even back then of how you shouldn't do that. But then the sentiment itself, I think, comes back to how you should treat your books. Remember when you were a kid, you were almost yelled at when you spilled anything, or God forbid, dog-eared pages.
We need to make an episode, a live stream with some samples of early Soviet posters about technology of reading books and using books.
I recently looked through an archive of Newton's own books, and how he used them is very characteristic. He dog-eared them all the time. You can recognize his books by the amount of dog ears. And the archivist who was showing this was very apologetic about, you should understand it wasn't us who did it, it was Newton, so it has a documentary value. It tells us about how the books were used. And my first reaction, my gut reaction, is always, oh no, how could he have done that? But then when you think about it, this is how you use books. If they don't just lie around, they get damaged. And if this damage adds something to its information value, why not? And coming back to this,
by the way, I wanted to say thanks to Terry Power for the hint with the word erosion.
And as for the book sculptures, in this sense, when sculptures made of books, I personally never had any problems with it, because I don't know of a single example when a valuable book was used in that way.
Well, this sort of reminds me of I think it was IBB's
Precisely, yeah,
installations with
yeah.
with vases, with
Yeah.
antique Chinese
He
vases.
used ancient Chinese vases and covered them with modern slogans. The most famous one is Coca-Cola,
Yeah.
written over a 4,000-year-old pot.
Yeah, and
And
also
you can
also
also
broke some of
breaking
them.
them
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now that is a bit much.
a bit, it's a step a bit too far away. Yeah, but so that's with the books, and more often as when I see some discussions of these book objects, more often than not, um, book binders and book artists say that, well, it's okay, and people who have this how do you say, священный трепет, this how should I say it in English? This holy attitude towards books. They are the ones who complain the most about the books being mutilated. And then comes the next thing, and the topic of our today's discussion. And I guess I should
Maybe
share.
we should probably also remind our viewers about Mike Cockrum's work.
Yeah, that was next. I wanted to. I think we will just play a couple of minutes of his introduction to his buried books, but I wanted to show some photos first, so to just get the context how it all started. And where is it? Pavel, help me and just talk for a moment.
Colleen is writing, Pavel, each podcast I watch, you are more and more taken over by houseplants. I won't be surprised if I see your eyes only a few episodes further. Neither will I, because the spring is coming and I have many plans regarding houseplants. Whoa, what is that?
So you don't want to check my Instagram, as far as I understand. So
I have problems with social networks. I really like your Instagram, but I don't like Instagram in general.
I specifically told Irfan View to zoom in on all the photos. Why wouldn't it do that? So I hate software that doesn't want to do what
doesn't do what you want it to
yeah,
do. So you
yeah.
hate most software, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Feed images to window. Let's try it this way.
I'm currently seeing
I
visit again.
Just wait a moment. Yeah, okay. It's ugly, but it works. So I hate it. Anyway, here are some of the objects that I saw on a flea market in Paris. I visited at a flea market this weekend, one of the flea markets, and it wouldn't zoom. I zoomed it on my screen, and it wouldn't zoom on. I don't know how it all works. This is just so upsetting. Okay, so these are some of the objects that I saw there, and there are these cubes, I guess paper holders or something. There are these larger plaques.
And what kind of size are we talking?
So this one is 30 by 30. The one I have here is 15 by 15 centimeters. And
are they purely decorative, or are they book weights?
Well, the cubic, I guess, they can be used like paperweights or something like that, and I think they are designated as paperweights on the website of the creator. And the flat ones, I guess, they are purely decorative, and you can put them on a wall or something. And there are even larger panels. So and then they are all made with wooden type and metal cliches that are used for printing. And some of these items are pretty worn out, but some of them are not. And that was the main reason for for all the hate that I got, or this creator got. And let me just switch to the website for a moment.
And what is the creator's name, so that I?
So it's Bernard Lemoine. I just shared the screen, and somehow the quality of sharing isn't good enough. I don't know.
You must have shared it in an optimized version for video. So if you reshare it, and there is this option when you share your screen.
I do not share my screen.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's the issue, and I don't know why the quality is so low. But anyway, it's yeah, I'm losing my mind here. So it's Bernard Lemoine, and the project is called Vulcan. And Pavel probably can share the link on YouTube and Facebook. You can find some more information there. And yeah, he creates lots of things like that, and I can see why some people may consider it problematic, because wooden type is something much more unique than mass printed books. And I can share some of the comments that I got when I posted these things on Facebook, and that's the wrong one. Just give me a moment, please. I will have to switch again. So here you are, and yeah. So that's the post, and I covered all the names beside this one, because there is some beautiful fabric that this person made, and I wanted to share it as well. But yeah, the quality today, the quality of screen sharing is just insanely bad. I think it's something with Zoom and how it translates the. Anyway, I'll read the. So there are some positive, amazing work in the US. Stuff like that is very, very expensive, and the 30 by 30 centimeter plaque is 220 euros. So I cannot say it's cheap in France as well. And then there is Satan's work, ignorancia, so ignorance, and disgraziati is disgrace. Amazed to find only 2 or 3 descending voices here. Why publish this on Lovers of Letterpress? I've seen this for sale in France. It's sacrilege, and then I agree. So, firstly, I talked to some of my friends who are printers, and I agree with their comments, especially as they are people who are working with the type. But firstly, I think, isn't it a bit overboard sacrilege, Satan's work, all that. Doesn't it diminish the Satan's work in some way or something? Doesn't it diminish what can and cannot be sacrilege or sacrilegious? I think it's a bit of an overreaction. I personally wouldn't type in this sort of art. But then I continue. I reserve the rights for for an artist to create art in a way that they see fit or okay doing, until it doesn't limits other people's freedoms and doesn't create a problem for their livelihood.
There is another aspect of this. There are so many partial or incomplete font sets available on this sort of markets, or even individual letters.
Yeah.
I see them all the time used as decorative items in cafes, in people's homes, because what on earth could you possibly do with a letter A if it's the only letter from a font?
Yeah, and that's one of the arguments that were made by the people who try to defend this sort of art, and sort of me posting these photos. But and other people answered like, beautiful, amazing. I have a similar object at my workshop studio. It serves as a memory of our, I don't know, grandfather who started our business or something like that. And so there were some really nice comments, and I'm quite happy to see that even in the letterpress community on Facebook, something like 2/3 of the reactions were positive, and only 1/3 of the reactions was negative or even angry. And I wanted to read another comment that sounds really quite reasonable. So here it is. And you can find them on Facebook, even while I covered the names on this image, because I don't know if the people want to be associated with all that stuff and get even more hate from any side of the argument. So while I do not endorse this as a product for wood type, I also appreciate some craft work and repurposing beloved material. Here in the States, much of this equipment was literally thrown out when digital means replaced them in newspapers, giving us a heightened sense of scarcity. In Europe, they had doubled the centuries to make, toss, and replace this equipment, roughly from 1500s to 2000. Against from 1750 in the US. All of this leads me to believe that this type was very likely unused for the majority of living memory. There also aren't many job shops in Europe to make good use of the tools, and they probably couldn't sell locally, regionally to suit their original purpose, not to mention being of a different type height than in the US, and else are making it difficult to sell internationally. And I also mentioned that there were some quite different standards for the types in different countries of Europe, and it's all the same, or I think it's all the same standard in the US. But anyway, many more standards in Europe, so it's not that interchangeable. Many more languages in Europe, so it's not like you can easily take a type from one country and move it to another and use it right away. And there are Cyrillic letters used in some countries of Europe, which adds even more fun to the mix.
Well, and even Latin-based languages have all sorts of ligatures and special symbols, and even letters that we all have in common, like A, are written in many different ways, even for the same font families. So,
and then I'm not a person who is in charge of saying anything in favor of Bernard Lemon, the artist behind this project. But he had posted some photos on his Instagram, and you can see that the type he buys, even if it seems that there are lots of letters still intact there, there are many of them that are missing. So that's not full type cases that he uses for this for his project, at least as it seems from the photos that he posted. So it's I'm glad that this discussion happened. I am a bit upset by all the negativity and the severeness of the negative reactions and yeah, I can probably read another set of comments that there was something interesting there. Let me see. Yeah, that's in a different community. So what is there? Fabulous, fantastic work. It's a bookbinding community. So I always start with fabulous, fantastic work. Then no,
It is
and
sign of time we are passing by.
and that is one of my favorite ones. So yeah, it's the last days. The last days are coming. People started to create art with wooden type, and once again, it's sort of devaluates the drama and the severeness of the problem, I guess, if there is a problem. And I hope the discussion will continue and wouldn't stop here. And if there are any comments from our viewers, we'd be glad to hear them. And then if you can share your opinion. But yeah. And by the way, what I forgot to add, that this object, even with all the controversy and all that stuff, it's done very well. So it's a nicely done object, and I've seen many of similar items on sale in thrift shops, on flea markets, and by artists themselves in different locations in different countries, in Europe, in the States, anywhere. And more often than not, they are made quite sloppily and without, I wouldn't say taste, because who am I to judge any other person taste, but well, just sloppily. This isn't. This is done very well, and that's the reason I decided to buy it. I decided to tell about this artist on our Instagram and to share information even further. So I appreciate this form of art, or I don't know, decorative art or whatever, even if it's a bit controversial. So yeah, wait a minute. Pavel wrote wait a minute, and then what?
Colleen
Oh,
was
you waited until I stopped mumbling. Okay.
Colleen is writing, I believe there are more examples of badly made book sculptures than better ones. I'd be curious if somebody made the books from scratch and then proceeded to destroy them, make a sculpture. So funny you should say that.
Funny you should say. Yeah, I just want to return to these comments once again, just for a moment, because I love this one as well. It's going to be hard to print with that type. So yeah, but Colin, find it that you should say that, and we have something prepared somewhere. I don't know where, as usual, but it should be fine in the end, because we must prevail. Here it is, and would there be any sound? No. Just give me a moment to try.
I could share screen with sound.
Yeah, hopefully I can do that as well. I'm just not sure how to audio input.
So the thing is, in one of our
just talk for a moment.
Yeah, so in one of our previous interviews with Mark Cockrum, of which there are quite a few, we discussed his project of burying actual books and waiting for a few months.
I think I can run the video, and
yeah.
if people want to watch it with Mark's commentary, they can go to our YouTube channel, and Pavel will post a link right away and watch it.
So he buries his sculptures, his future sculptures. He buries the books. He waits for a few months. Sometimes he buries them not as flat books, but fixes them in some sort of shape, like a cylinder or even something more dramatic. Waits for the rigor mortis to kick in, so for the shape to get fixed, and for all the texture of decay and time and fermentation to come. And he uses them as parts of his sculptures, or even as individual sculptures. So one example, when he placed a book made into a sort of spiral under a glass dome, and it's quite a thing. So the thing, here it is. Yeah, here it is. So the thing is, Mark's personal preference is to never bury books made by other people. So he first makes them and then he buries them, which is unusual, I have to say,
but quite reasonable.
Yes, I think it's
a very reasonable approach.
Yeah, so
and very,
it's
very
his
thoughtful.
sculpture. Yeah. It should be his book. I don't recall if I asked him how good those books were as books, or did he just select the ones he didn't really like, or were they purpose made? I forget those details now, but the project itself is very interesting. I would very much love to own that particular example.
Yeah. We also asked Mark if if anybody wanted to join him and ask Mark bury their books, their bindings, and he told us that not yet, at least, but it was a year ago or something. Maybe something changed then, and we definitely know that Mark buried even more books since that recording. So maybe later this year we will ask him about his latest experiments in this form of book sculpture. So yeah, here's another approach, and you can definitely, well, this is one of the options. You can definitely make your own books and turn them into book sculptures in any way. And if anybody tells you anything about that, then they can show their own opinion somewhere where the sun doesn't shine. Yeah, and this reminds me of something we discussed with Daniel Kelm as well, as he faced some angry comments concerning his book sculptures as well, and even while he was the person who made them, and he didn't even bury the books, but then not always people are not always happy. It's like there is something wrong going on the internet, but even before the era of internet, people were getting angry for all the random reasons. There is also another topic I wanted to share.
Oh, by the way,
within this main theme, but yeah.
Sure. Sorry, Mark is showing the attention he paid to this buried book. He gilded the holes, so I really like how he first.
As far as I remember, he first knifed the book, punctured the book with a knife, then buried it, and after added some shiny details.
That's an amazing form of psychotherapy, and also reminiscent of the project we talked about, where people try to preserve the history of the particular book by gilding cracks and showing the life it has lived. And here Mark is showing the death it had. Quite a thing. Love it.
Yeah, and I wanted to share something else. And next time we need to check the sound before we start, because Pavel, if you can continue talking about Mark Cockrum or something like that, I will just add another link to our viewing carousel, and then we will continue.
If you remind me what the name of the collective was, and
which collective?
Where they don't try to repair books but to show off.
That was the topic we discussed with Katie Abbott and
many others.
And many others. You're absolutely right. It's easier to find it on the website than to remember. Tomorrow's past.
Tomorrow, tomorrow's past. So it's also a rather controversial idea. Funny how people have very, very strong opinions about books and what you should do with them. So people think that books should look pristine, and if something happens to a book, it's a crime against the book, but it's also an aesthetic crime. Why would you show a book's age? It should look like the day it was made. No, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
What is it you're looking for exactly?
So there is this exhibition at the Jewish Museum in Brussels, and I wanted to show some photos from it, and I have these photos, but then I wanted to show them on the website of the, and this is just
one of those days.
Yeah, everything's fine. So you have to talk for a bit more, and I will find the thing. And
we also had one more example of book sculptures that was recently in the news.
Mm-hmm.
A mystery artist, an anonymous artist who wants to remain anonymous.
I can even share the screen.
Of sculptures just of a similar type, although in this case the books are deconstructed to a much greater degree, and they were sold for a collective sum of some £50,000, and they were donated to a reading charity, and by they are very different in their approach to what we were discussing before that. If you scroll it a bit further down, there's another example there.
Yeah. This one.
That one. So whereas in the previous example, the book was mostly preserved and created a landscape, here it is deconstructed and also the shape of the sculpture is related to the contents of the book. So this particular one is based on Lanark by Alistair Gray, and you see the architectural details. You see one of the characters of the book holding with his disheveled hair, with his tools of trade. And again, if you go to the comment section, don't do that. You'll see some very very strong opinions.
Yeah. I wouldn't go to the comment section as you told me.
Have you found the exhibition?
I have found the exhibition, but I cannot find the page where there were photos. That's just so frustrating. Okay, maybe some other source.
Maybe you can tell us about what was there.
Yeah, here are some photos.
Oh, here they are. Yeah.
So this is paper art. The exhibition is called Wars on Paper, Galila's collection, and it shows you can see some of the examples right now. Yeah, right.
Yep.
I think so. And there are many samples of different, quite different paper art, and some of the objects are created from random paper. Some of the objects are created from printed materials and books, and some others similar things. So there is some similarity to the topics, or some relevance to the topics we discussed before, either connected with connection to book sculptures, or with connection to sculptures or art created with type and cliches. But anyway, here is another view on this issue, another approach, and the exhibition had to close on the 18th of February, as far as I remember, but it was prolonged until almost the end of April. So if you are anywhere in Europe, or if you are visiting Belgium, you have a chance to do that and to see this stuff, these sculptures, and that's something I definitely want to do in one of the upcoming weeks. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, 17th of mid-April. But anyway, that's just another illustration to the same topic.
And where, in which museum is it? It's in Brussels, but where?
Jewish Museum of Belgium. Well, there are many other reasons to visit Jewish Museum, the Jewish Museum in Belgium, but that's one of them. If you're into bookish things and art related to books and printed stuff, well, here you are. So you don't want to talk about the exhibition today?
No, I want to talk about the news.
About news. So Stepan wrote, from a moral standpoint, it's the most appropriate, very interesting project. A bit of corpse snatching vibe to it. It's about about Mark Cockrum's varied books. But yeah, definitely from the moral standpoint, it's the most appropriate. And of course, it would be interesting to see if somebody carved their own wooden type and then created sculptures with it, if the people would react the same. I don't know. Especially if you wouldn't provide any comments on the fact that the type was created by the person who created this piece of art. So I guess it's still an open discussion, and every person needs to find their own attitudes or formulate their own attitude toward this topic. I guess I shared mine. As for the book sculptures, do it if you do not destroy anything unique. And once again, we talked with Daniel Kelm about that, about adding to some other person's bindings or art or craft. If you do not destroy it, you can try to make it more beautiful or interesting or actual or anything. That's also there was a news, right, just today or yesterday, that in Yeltsin Center, in that's museum dedicated to the creation of the young Russian democracy in Yekaterinburg, security man drew eyes on a painting of one of Malevich's students. I don't remember her name, unfortunately, and it's just the news just broke today or yesterday, something like that. And
No. You missed the first iteration. It happened last year.
Oh, okay.
In December,
Yeah.
and only today they finally told us who did it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
before that, the story was that at
Somebody
an
okay.
somebody draw two small black dots on a painting. You know, one of those peasants in Malevich like to paint. So that kind of that kind of stuff.
And the faces are without any noses, eyes, or mouth,
Yeah.
just oval shape. And then somebody have drawn eyes with ball pen, which is interesting.
Why?
Well, he was uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable to see these faces without eyes. I can sort of understand why somebody would be uncomfortable. I cannot understand why somebody would draw anything on these paintings, though. But well, here's another illustration to our discussion, I guess.
I can't wait for them to come back to Moscow to see how well they restored it, because it's one of my favorite paintings. It used to be shown like once a decade, but now it's in the permanent collection of the new Tretikov galleries. So in a month or two, I want to go and see if you can see any sort of traces of vandalism. Well, we'll see.
So I wanted to show, we have a couple of minutes, I guess, before we have to switch to news. I wanted to show also some bookish objects I found recently, and maybe somebody will help me to find more info about at least some of these objects. And I will have to switch on my other camera to do that. Yeah, just give me a moment and everything will be perfect as usual. That's only for you. Other people do not see that parts, at least for now. But yeah, let me switch on the camera. And what do I need to? Wrong one. The right one. Okay, here we are. So, firstly, I wanted to more stuff. As I told you, I have visited flea market and found there this phone book, Soviet phone book. So it was. It's written here that it's state standard something 69. So it was standardized. This form of book was standardized in for the Soviet production in 1969. It probably was printed a bit later, or maybe in 1969. It's hard to tell. But well, it has this lacquered surface with this miniature. And by the way, I checked the paper. The paper has you wouldn't be able to see it, I guess.
No, I can see lines.
You can see lines. So it seems to be handmade paper, or at least paper made with paper molds. So it's very interesting. How in other way it will get this pattern if it was factory produced? I don't think so. It So it should be handmade. I don't know. But the other thing I wanted to show and share with you, so I need to. So here it is.
Oh.
So it's a souvenir production created at the factory Восход in Moscow. Восход is sunrise, so factory sunrise. But the most interesting thing is this one. So it says переплетчица номер один. So it's binderess number one. And I guess there were many more binderesses there on this factory, but here is number one, and no names, but that's pretty standard for Soviet factories to include information about the person who was in charge of some part of the process and share it with numbers. Yeah, it sort of adds to this recent discussion that happens in Russia about gender terms for professions, because as far as I understand, in the United States there is this movement where some female professionals prefer to use sort of genderless terms or terms associated with male counterparts of the profession,
like
actors.
Like actor, yeah.
Instead of actress, they prefer to use actor because there is for many years there was this stigma of actors being something lightweighted and I don't know, not solid enough or not serious enough, which is something I don't understand from my Russian standpoint of view, and I'm outside of this cultural stream, and it's interesting to read about it, but I lived in a different linguistic context for almost all my life, and that's a different story. But in Russia there is counter movement because within the feminist movement there is this approach to create gender terms for many professions because, well, there is stigma for women in many professions, and especially in the professions that are sort of considered male. I don't know, like programmer or scientist or
yes. So the fact that there is no female form of a name of a profession in Russian almost always means that there were no female practitioners of that.
Yeah, and we should add that Russian language is a very gendered language. So I don't know, mouse is female, and this cup is female, but
computer is male,
pencil is male, computer is male, and table is male, but window is neuter. So it's very interesting, and French as well, and many other European languages. It's English that is strange, really. But with the professions, why I told that this adds to this discussion about gendered professions, because many people say that, well, there were never gendered professions, with some exceptions, for example, like a nurse, because even male nurses in Russian are officially called by the female gendered name of the profession. But there were gendered professions for a long time, so this argument is just void that there were no gender. But no, I switched to some absolutely different topic.
I wanted to give an example of that in Russian that will sound very familiar to Colin, because only recently Russian language gained, not without controversy, a word for a female director. And it's exactly the same word that is used in Bulgarian, režiserka. And people are still, no, you can't say that. You should always say režiser, director. All directors are male, and even female ones are male. That kind of thing. But I really liked that about binderess. you said.
Yeah, well, I don't know how else should I translate this gendered version of the bookbinder's profession. But yeah, the same with me with the Romanian language, because it was so natural for me that professions can be gendered, because in Romanian they are gendered, and I don't know, even the Russian word tavarish, which is comrade, is gendered in Romania, so it's tavarish and tavarisha. Yeah, it's quite natural, I guess. So the next small update is that I have finally printed all the plaques that we were sending to the people who were awarded or mentioned by the guests of our podcasts early this year. So I will start sending them. And Colleen, by the way, you're getting, as you know, you're getting one of them pretty soon. I am a bit late on this printing project, but it took some time to print all of them. And yeah, but now they are ready, and will finally start moving in towards their destinations in different countries on different continents. So it's fun update. And then there was one more thing. It's a large one. I found on a I'm not sure if it will fit. It doesn't want to fit. So what should I do? How should we work with it? Let me try. Yeah, almost fits. So
I assume this is not a book.
here it is. It's Johnny Walker, born 1820. So yeah, it's not a book. It's as far as I understand, some people call these objects blooks, the objects that look like books but aren't books. I have some of them in my collection. For example, I have already shown this. I have bought these book stands recently, and they also kind of look like books. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Maybe I should have showed them separately, but anyway. But yeah, this large thing I found once again on the same flea market, and yeah, it opens like this. And there is a note, Baccarat, spécialement édité, c'est flacon de cristal, taille à la main pour John Walker and Sons Ltd, Kilmarnock, Scotland. So yeah, and places for bottles. And it still smells like whiskey. I don't know for how long it was without any bottles inside of it, but it still smells like whiskey. And maybe it's whiskey as well. Maybe it's water.
You should put whiskey in there.
I want to find the same bottle, but I tried to find some info on this object, and I have found a similar item on eBay, and it is sold for 180 euros. I bought this one much cheaper. You can be sure. I'm as I mentioned many times already, I'm a person who doesn't want to spend a lot of money on objects that can be bought for cheaper. And I prefer to wait and find them and look for them. So, but there is no information on this a lot on eBay about date or anything. It was obviously. It was most obviously produced in France, and the seller on eBay is also in France, and there is also this thing. So you can see probably there is this number 945 and letter A or E. So it's probably 945th copy of this box. So it was a quite large production. And I have no information. I've sent an inquiry to Johnny Walker to the company, but they haven't replied me yet, and it was several days already. I'm not sure how fast they usually reply, or if it got to spam. I don't know what. But if anyone has any idea from which era this can be, from which decade of I guess, well, most probably it's the 20th century, but which I don't think it's from the 19th century. But still, it seems to be the spine is leather, the sides are leathering or something like that. Top part is leather. The four edges are leather. So it would be very interesting to find out more about this object and place two bottles that are from this set inside. I think it would be too expensive to do that. If it's early 20th century, it would be too expensive to do that. So this is it for bookish objects, for fun bookish objects for today. News? Should we switch to news?
Yeah.
Let me find the. So which two pieces of news you want to talk about, and which will be the first one?
Will you be sharing or will I be sharing?
I'll share the screen and you will be talking.
Oh no. Let me.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You should allow me first. Not just say fine, but do
too
something
much.
about it.
Okay, ready?
Yep. So, okay.
Once again, it works really strange. I don't know why.
So
why?
Should I wait first?
I think maybe that's the reason. Yeah, I know what's the reason. Let me switch off the my phone streaming.
Yep.
Yeah, much better. Okay.
So, okay. The first piece of news is about this small and rather scruffy-looking object, which is actually an 11th century pen from Ireland with a metal tip at that. If you asked me what people were writing with at that time, I would say quills.
And I'll share the link right away on.
Yeah, styluses, something like that. But in this particular case, it's definitely a pen, a composite pen made of. Its tip is made of metal, and the structure. The base is made of bone, and the really interesting thing about it is where it was found. It was found in Cashel. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Cashel is a castle, basically, and Cahaconnell is a place in county. What was it, the county? In County Clare, so north of Ireland. Not Northern Ireland, but north of Ireland. And it is a private home of a. It was lived by a single family, or at least it looks like that from the archaeological record. There are no documents whatsoever from that era that deep in Ireland. And it was not it was not a religious site. It wasn't a monastery, it wasn't a church, it was a private home. And in 11th century they had pens. So what were they writing? There are many versions because no private letters from the period survive, nothing like that. Were they writing down accounts? Were they writing letters? Was it some kind of last will and testament of Lord so-and-so? We just don't know. And it is by a few centuries the oldest such object in Ireland or anywhere in the British Isles. Um, uh, you can see what sort of size it is, and at the bottom you can see a modern recreation. I read a bit about it. It's interesting that the bone that the pen itself is made of was so thoroughly worked that it wasn't possible to identify what it was. The best option, the best fit identified by a local museum is one of the wing bones of a swan, which is quite impressive. A swan metal pen at a family castle in Ireland. Really impressive object. If you can read quite a lot about it. There was lots of coverage when it was printed in the Archaeology Ireland magazine and all over the net. You can read about the experiments. But I would like to give some context for that. I mean, what did we know about writing implements in Ireland before that? So the very earliest objects relevant to writing in Ireland, and you can post some links on that, are the famous Springmount bog tablets. They were found somewhere around 1914, so quite a long time ago, and they are the regular what you find all over the post-Roman world, and in Russia too. We talked about a 10th century book written in this technique, the Novgorod Codex. This particular example, and it's really well preserved. You can see how it was carried around. You can see individual seras, individual tablets. You can see the belt, very well preserved, and you can see the text. It's written on wax, so it was clearly not written with a pen, nor was it written with a quill. It was written with a stylus. So 6th, 7th century Ireland, all the examples we have are this sort of things. But then, if we go a bit later on, we find manuscripts like the famous Book of Malling. And if we zoom in into one of the evangelists, you can see what this very book was written with. And again, it's not a pen. This is 8th century, I think, maybe early 9th century. So a pocket gospel book of the insular tradition, a very typical thing. And it was written with a quill. And you can even see a small ink pot also in his hands. And here I couldn't stop myself and went on a tangent, because this particular book is a very impressive example, not only in terms of its illustrations and in terms of its text. I mean, look at that.
Unfortunately, I cannot share the link because it's too long.
Okay.
Yeah, and this website doesn't use any short link format or something, and
I see. Yeah. Another thing that is interesting about this book in particular is how it was preserved. It was preserved in this. We like to talk about boxes for books.
Yeah, we love to talk about boxes.
Here's a nice example from the 10th century. A golden shrine. There is a whole category of these things. This one comes from the Book of Malling, but there are many, many, many examples, and they're called in Irish Camdach, I think. And I just wanted to show you a few examples. They are all early medieval, so like 8th to 11th centuries. And they are very impressive. They are not bindings. They are not book covers, what I'm showing. They are all boxes and things like that. I mean, if I didn't know it was Christian, I would say it was pagan. This looks
So
like Mother Goddess.
it's a stage between the carved books that we can see on some churches and the the book itself, the book with pages, and these sculptures or parts of the sculpture. That's, by the way, something we wanted to talk about during one of our next live streams, because we started driving around France recently, and I've made some. I've seen some pretty nice religious sculptures with books and with all the different sorts of bindings recently, especially in Metz. There were some quite beautiful examples. Not medieval as far as I understand, but still really nice work.
And it's also interesting how these were used. So they were not kept in churches. They were very powerful objects. They were taken to battles. And often people didn't even think about what's inside them. Almost always they were books associated with some saints, but people didn't treat them as books. They treated them as magic objects. So the oldest Irish book in existence was preserved in one of such camdachs, and they were, and it was only discovered inside it in the 19th century. So nobody bothered to open it for over 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, coming back to the pen, another thing I wanted to tell is just how rare these things are and how we know that they are rare. There is this wonderful website for the Portable Antiquities Scheme. This is not Irish website, it's for England. There are similar websites for Scotland and Wales, but this one is the best in terms of searchability. What it is an organization that you must report all your metal detecting finds to. So if you find a coin that has a cross or is made of gold or is older than 200 years or so, you must report it. And the same for all other objects. And all these objects are photographed. A detailed description is written up, and all that information is easily accessible online. So I went on this website and searched for medieval pens. Well, first of all, there are only 5 examples. And say for coins, there are millions of them. For inkwells, there are hundreds upon hundreds of medieval inkwells. But pens, those are really rare because you mostly find them on church sites that nobody will allow you to metal detect. So common people didn't have pens. And if they did, they would look something like that. So more of a stylus, or like that. Now this is closer, but this is also much later, a few centuries later. This is a pen tip for a late medieval example. Here's another example, and again we only find the tips, which is another great thing about this. We now know what a whole pen looks like. And we even know what kind of bird it was. And here's another one, which is also I can't imagine how you'd use that as a pen, but if they say it's a pen, it's probably, and this is it. So for all of England for the last 30 years of manic metal detecting, only 5 examples, and all of them much later. But since we came here, I wanted to show you another category of bookish objects. This is totally tangent to the news, but who cares? So there is this very, very famous object in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. It's called Alfred Jewel. And let me show you a few more images of it. Here it is. From all the side, you can see an image made in enamel. It's supposed to be, well, nobody knows precisely. It used to be identified as a portrait of Alfred the Great, as an angel, and nowadays they think it's an allegory of sight, whatever that means. But the interesting thing are the letters. It says Alfred me fecit, so Alfred made me, and Alfred is most definitely Alfred the Great, the late 9th century monarch of West Sussex, Wessex, who stopped the Vikings from totally devouring the Brittonic king and Anglo-Saxon kingdoms of earlier. And we know a bit about what it can be. So if I don't know if you can see on the bottom of it, there is like a tube. So something was clearly inserted into it. And the general consensus is that it is a pointer. So in medieval times, people never read, first of all, they read aloud. And they never read just looking at the page. They needed a pointer to follow. I don't know why, but it was very widespread. And Alfred the Great, who was the first bookish English king, he wrote books, he translated books, and he sent them all over his kingdom. And in the preface of one of the best known of these books, he says that I will send this book, which is a set of church laws, to every county or something of my state, and I will attach an estel. And estel is a pointer. So this is probably one of them, one of those estels sent to the bishops of the late 9th century. And until very recently, this was the only example known. So it was basically a hypothesis that there is this class of late medieval Alfred era golden objects called estels that were sent around the country. And this is where Portable Antiquities scheme comes in, because if you go there and you search for estel, you will find quite a few examples, ranging from rather rich-looking ones, like this little gem, found very recently, like 4 years ago or so. There are more golden examples. So this was probably also a gift to a bishop, perhaps not to Archbishop of Canterbury, as the previous example probably was, who knows, because it's so rich. It's one of the best examples, but this is also not a church warden estels. I mean, it's a very impressive object and a very expensive one. But also we see, no, here's another golden one. I just can't stop looking at them. I mean, look at this. But there are also simpler examples, also from the same era. Will it show it to me? No. Okay, here's another one. And simple examples are clearly of no interest to anyone but me. Here's another one. I like this one too. So this was probably used by, again, a clergyman, but of a much lower status, but still a person having access to books and having a special implement for reading them. That So go and read about them. All of them have a story attached. They are very well documented, and they are all found very recently. So in the last 10 years, the corpus has ballooned enormously. There was a big exhibition of this material a few years back. You can find all about it on the Wikipedia page for Alfred Jewell, and I highly recommend you do that. So this was the first piece of news.
That there is another tangent or sort of return to one of the previous topics. Mark Cockrum was in comments on Facebook, and you have missed that somehow. And he wrote one artist that used books is John Latham. A Pate short film is cool, and there is a link, so you can find it on Facebook under the video and watch the video. And also there was something like that. Pavel, is that a hint? I'm not sure about what it was.
I think it's about the buried book. This is the
Oh, okay. Yeah. What about the budget?
It's not a hint, it's a dream.
It's a dream, yeah. Yeah, and Mark also helped us to remember about the tomorrow's past. Yeah, thanks for that as well. So the second piece of news, again, if you have something to share with us, any news, any things, any questions, please comment on Facebook and YouTube. We're always glad to see any input from our viewers. And Pavel.
So another piece of news, also from the British Isles, this time from Wales. A recent anniversary of the University of Wales Trinity St. David Library sparkled lots of events, mostly online because of COVID, but also an exhibition devoted to one of their best-known books. It's called, very, very evocatively, Monk's Blood Manuscript. I don't know if it's still on show, but the news seems pretty recent. So if you can, go and see it. And well, you can see why the manuscript is called that. But the story is a bit more complicated. The manuscript itself is clearly late medieval. I mean, they're saying 13th century, and I believe it's certainly no earlier than that. But a 19th century traveler visited the library and was shown this manuscript as a manuscript covered with blood of 7th century martyr monks.
That happens a lot.
And
no problem whatsoever. That's all miracles.
That's how miracles work. Yeah, and the story somehow stuck, and from what I read online, local guides retell that story to this day. And I was wondering, did they make a DNA analysis? Is it even human blood? Is it even blood? I couldn't find any information. I guess they, you know, when you have a good legend, you don't want to spoil it with facts. So I would really love to see it. When you go next time, maybe you can see it. And because let me show you a few more photos of it from all the we
have our British visas open until the end of March, so we definitely want to use it as another excuse and opportunity to go there. And we found out that we cannot go with our car on the through the tunnel, through the Euro tunnel. Well, we cannot put the car on the train because our car has a gas tank, not only a petrol tank but also LPG tank, liquid gas tank, liquefied gas tank, and it isn't allowed for cars with this sort of fuel choice to be transported by the trains through the tunnel. It's also a bummer because the tunnel that is under Versailles and that we used from time to time is also not allowed for cars like that. So now we have to go around all the time. Well, save some money. But
So
going in a ferry is a challenge because it's something like 5 to 8 hours travel time.
isn't like 30 kilometers? Why so
So
long?
it's just a bit too much, and it's much easier to go on Eurostar on the train and then rent a car there in London or somewhere, and if we want to travel around the country.
So this is what the whole page looks like. This is the only image I could find. Most of pictures of just this one drop of
Well, because
blood.
that's the most important part of the manuscript, obviously.
No, but look at that. There's lots and lots of it. I mean, there are splashes of blood
Or something.
or something, yeah. So it would be interesting to find out what it is. But it reminded me, and I wanted, we sort of mentioned it before, but never shown any pictures. There is a very famous a manuscript in Germany associated with Saint Bonifacius. It was certainly owned by him, but it is famous for another reason. It's famous because of the legend that is depicted in this miniature, that when he was attacked by heathens, I don't know, by heathens, yeah, he put out a book and it protected him from the sword. It didn't end well anyway, but you see the book, here's another depiction. You see the book looks like this. You can see those slashes on the top, and it's not subtle, right? Here's what it looks like as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, so it just might be that very book that he used to protect himself from a sword, but more recent analysis suggests that these are made by a knife and not a sword, and
to conform with the legend.
Yes, and very likely much later. But there's a twist. A very recent analysis has found this unprepossessing little mark, and it is clearly a nail mark.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, some scientists argue, this book was nailed to a tree, which was a documented pagan practice when German and Celtic and Viking warriors seized early Christian books. They often nailed them to a tree to denigrate it. So may it really be that very book that was with the saint in his last moments that he used to protect himself? Who knows? But it is a great story, and I really would love to see it. It's in Tübingen, and they do display it very often. So if you are in Tübingen, go visit this great book. And it's not the only book associated with Saint Bonifacius in Tübingen. It's also not the only great book in Tübingen. Do go there. Great place.
Definitely.
That's all from me. Can I stop sharing now?
Oversharing. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess that's it from both of us, and as usual, many thanks to all of our viewers who stayed with us throughout our stream, or stayed with us for a part of our stream and at the end as well. And we'd like to say thanks to our patrons on Patreon, and please consider joining the crowd, because money that we get from our patrons is the only source for our podcasts to get the videos edited. Well, not the only source, because if it was the only source, we wouldn't get we would only get half of the videos edited or something like that. We still have to add some money, but still we would like to invite more people to join the crowd, because we have a lot of plans. We would like to spend more time working on the French, Spanish, and now Russian versions of the podcast. And we'll also invite people who are ready to read and check the Spanish, French, and Russian subtitles of the podcast for further translation into English, so that English-speaking members of the English-speaking audience would be able to watch these other language podcast versions of iBookBinding's podcast. So if you are ready to volunteer, it's an unpaid job, it's a volunteer thing, but if you are ready to volunteer, please send us a message or just leave a comment and we will reach out to you. We've got several answers from people who are ready to work on the Spanish version of the podcast, and I'll be reaching out to them pretty soon, but we still have to find people for the French version. It's a bit easier with Russian for us, with the Russian language, obviously, but yeah, French version still demands some attention. So if you are speaking French, and if you love book arts and book history, and if you're ready to spend some time with reading and correcting the subtitles, please reach out. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Next week, by the way.
Next week, actually.
It will be next week. Yeah. Our next live stream is next week. So, are there any last comments there? Anyone? Anything? No, nothing new. Then I'm finishing the stream, and we are staying for a couple minutes more, just to be sure that everything is